How's it going, everyone? I'm back at the Stanley Parable. I assume that was the full confusion ending. And yeah, I think we're going to try it again. We're asking for a time. I believe it was. Let's go. It's. Yeah, cool. Check my phone. Uh, cool. Hang on. Before we get started, can I just say something that you actually setting the clock both times you've booted up the game? A lot of people just leave it at 12 and call it a day. Okay. But you've actually taken the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You're playing. Oh, you're paying attention. Cool, blah, blah, blah. Yep, thank you very much. Just set the clock to your favorite time. Okay. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want. It's not the correct time you've earned it. Okay. Can I set the clock again? I go to settings to set the time of day. No. Okay. All right, let's play. Back in the office.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Let's speedrun this.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
What, nothing fun to say? Oh, fine. Alright, then, here we are.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Group 40X, Group 41X, Group 42X, 43, blah, blah, blah. Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. There's a whiteboard. I want to be whiteboard manager. This is a lot of writing. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Okay, thank you. Broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
But I don't want to. It's the broom closet, man. Fine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Let's go downstairs.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense.
No, it does
and as
not.
Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Repeating. No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Oh, that.
He yelled. This is all a dream.
I'm dreaming. This is all a dream.
What relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Awesome.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun. and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
I'm trying to keep walking.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
I have no idea where I'm going. I went through a door,
through
so
this dream.
I've clearly gone somewhere.
I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
It went black.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew.
Wait,
everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
So we're back. I think.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Was that
what could
another
it
ending?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
This
memo.
time we're going to follow what he has to say.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Door on the left. Gotcha.
Yet there was not a single person here
Tips for not getting
either.
fired. Talk less.
Feeling a wave of
Your unbelievably
disbelief,
amazing work
Stanley
all the time,
decided
every
to
day
go
with no
up to his
expectations
boss's
or
office,
promotion or
hoping he might find an answer there.
so let it boil you up inside. Take it out passive aggressively on other coworkers. Reset coworkers.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
To the boss's office. Is this the boss's office? It's the executive boss. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Wait, why is the TP that far? Why do you have the toilet paper? The toilet next to. It's bad design, even if we are up high. Secretary. Book. The beige pages. Okay. I'm assuming that's the boss's office. Alright.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
What in
Shocked,
office?
unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him.
Wait, there's a
and so
keypad?
the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Yo, luck.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Man, the architecture of this building. Like, I want to see what it looks like on the outside.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Just a tick. Alright, let's go. Well, that happened.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
But then there's the escape. Alright, I already said I was going to follow the thing along.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with
I know
television
this room.
screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Oh, cool. More computers.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
How many employees does this guy have? 496, 596, 600, never mind. Or maybe less. Apparently they'll fight. Some of these guys are fired.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
The answer is yes.
No.
Oh.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
Yeah,
it
never.
was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
No.
For he would dismantle the controls once and for
all. No. I want to turn it on. I want to do it. How do I activate it? No. Facility power. Okay, there has to be the option in there. Awaiting input. Oh, system power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
You know what? No, I said I was going to follow the guy, so screw it, we'll do that.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking,
Step in the
but
darkness.
Happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Yeah, it's actually pretty. Pretty.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
They weren't kidding. This game is a hoot. We're back at it again. Oh, I'm gonna leave it there. That was good. I liked it. I'm gonna keep up with this stuff, I think. At some point I will be getting back to Skyrim. I'm kind of bored of it. I thought playing survival stuff would kind of reinvigorate my interest. But I've played Skyrim for over 10 years, and you kind of have experienced everything. Especially because I've got it on PC and I've got it like modded to the brim. So it feels weird coming back to near vanilla Skyrim. But I don't want to mess around my mod setup to create a series out of that, because it's more my relaxed time type thing. I'm not really fond of the idea of that. But yeah, it's a Stanley Parable. I hope to continue on with this stuff a bit more. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.